Hey guys, Virgin Vinyl with you today. When we think of classic rock, classic hard rock, or proto heavy metal, or whatever you want to call it, there's a few bands that automatically spring to mind, and of course, probably I don't know if I would say my favorite, maybe my equal favorite of those bands would be the mighty Deep Purple. And this album in particular, in rock, is my favorite. Okay, so what have I got here? I've got I mentioned in one of my previous videos that, when I got started, those of you new to the channel, I've just started collecting vinyl. That's the whole point of this channel. I'm up to about 80 records at the moment that I have on me, and I have another 20 or 21 waiting for me when I fly to the States in July, and I'm sure to pick up more while I'm over there. But anyway, when I first started in November last year, I was searching obviously to try and find like local options. There's a few pretty good shops here. There's a good metal shop. There's a good, it's a pretty good metal shop. Like, it's a cool place, and the guy who works there is a very cool guy. The two guys that I know that work there are very cool guys. The selection for me is not that great because I'm much more of a sort of late 80s, early 90s death metal guy, and a lot of those classics that I really would like to get on vinyl, they don't have. But they do have some cool stuff, and I have bought a whole bunch of stuff from there. But I was, besides the bricks and mortar shops that I've been going to here, I also wanted to see what was available online, locally, and stuff like that. And I found this place called Khalid, and I ordered a few records from there. I ordered the Jaco Pastorius. I ordered the Jethro Tull Too Old to Rock and Roll from there. And I ordered this, and there was one other thing which I'm forgetting right now. I was, like I said, I think in the Jethro Tull or in the Jaco Pastorius episode, I'm pretty disappointed with them, to be honest. I think they don't give a correct grading of this record. Now, what's cool about this record is that this is a original 1970 pressing, so that's cool. But as you can see, the wear is pretty bad on it. It's a gatefold there, as you can see. Right, that's there. Now, I mean, the quality of the grading on the record itself is, it was also not so great. Like it was supposed to be very good plus, but it's more like maybe VG, like maybe more like good plus. Like, it's very, very crackly and stuff. So I was a little bit bummed about that, but so at some point I will pick up another copy of this, because I would like to it's cool to have it though as like a little time capsule, or as like an antique, I guess, or I've realized that I didn't really think that this would be a thing when I started collecting vinyl. I thought I'd be quite happy to mostly just have brand new reissues of things and everything like that. But I really think that now that I've started collecting and searching and finding most of my records are secondhand, I actually prefer that. I feel like I think that they pressed it better or something back in the day, or something like that. Like, they just sort of seem to sound, I don't know, maybe it's totally psychosomatic and I'm just imagining it. But it seems to me that, like, even though sometimes they're more crackly, and even though they might be a bit worn out, they still seem to sound, I don't know, it sounds more legit or something. I don't know, it's hard to put into words. also, I've noticed that like a lot of brand new records that are coming from presses, all sorts of presses, they're coming like filthy. They're coming crackly and dirty, and you've got to really clean the record before you play it. And it's like, what the fuck is that? What, like, seriously, like, I don't know if it's every press that does. It's not every press that does that. Some new records I've pulled out of the sleeve and they've been immaculate, and others, you know, like the Nocturnus album I got, it was like filthy. I had to really clean it to get it playable. So what's the fucking deal with that? But anyway, I realized that like I do prefer. It's not just the sound. It's the fact that it's like a timepiece. You know, it's like this has existed since 1970. It's been played. It's been handled. It's been moved. You know, it's been a part of people's life and people's experience. And there's something really cool about that. It means that it's like this. It's not just this sort of manufactured object anymore. It's sort of this living, breathing thing that sort of people have cared about and used, and it's sort of seen all this history. And I don't know, I think there's something cool about that. But yeah, of course, you know, Deep Purple in rock is one of those. I think it's one of those milestone albums for everybody who likes rock or metal or 70s music. You know, it's such a pivotal album. It's like, first of all, it's the turning point for this band. You know, like from the Mark I era, that lineup changing with introduction of Ian Gillan and Roger Glover into the band, and Ritchie Blackmore pushing the band into a far more hard-edged, you know, heavier direction, and which, you know, this album is one of the albums that's really birthing heavy metal, and its importance in the history of rock really can't be understated, you know. And like, sometimes when you go back and you listen to like some of these landmark albums, it can be maybe underwhelming, or like, because there's so much hype around it, you know, maybe at first it doesn't quite, you know, it can be a letdown maybe. But I don't think that's the case here with In Rock. I think, like, you know, this thing just comes out of the gate swinging. Everything on here is a dead set classic. Speed King is so cool. The interesting thing is that I always had this on CD, you know. That's the other thing, if you're new to the channel. I'm not just starting collecting music at the age of 45. I had a huge CD collection. I left it behind in Australia. I've told that story a few times. Go back to the other videos if you want to hear it. Go back to my video from a few days ago called What the Hell Am I Doing Here? It's all explained there. I don't have my CD collection anymore, and I decided to collect vinyls. I, of course, had this on CD for years, and my version that I had on there was with the sort of extended intro to Speed King, which makes it sound even more crazy, which this doesn't have. But and I also have, of course, Black Knight on that as well, which isn't on here, which is a bummer because that was like released as a separate single. But I'm so used to having Black Knight on the album as well. But you got Speed King, Bloodsucker is incredible, like just so rockin'. Child in Time is kind of like the you know, Stairway to Heaven of Deep Purple. Into the Fire, it's fucking so cool. Flight of the Rat, Living Wreck, and Hard Loving Man, all dead set classics. Ritchie Blackmore ripping up a storm on the electric guitar, changing the game for rock and roll. You know, one of the most influential guitarists of all time, and Ian Gillan, you know, howling up a storm with his incredible voice at the peak of his powers. You got the incredible John Lord and his, you know, like in a way, it's actually John Lord who brings the metal. You know, the way he sort of plays the chords a lot of the time. He's like, it sounds like palm muted guitar playing, and it's fucking heavy. You know, his Hammond organ playing is really heavy, and of course, you know, Ian Pace. What a great drummer! Like, I think out of that generation of '70s rock drummers, he's the most I think underrated. You know, I think he's probably skill level. He's got to be one of the best. Anyway, and Roger Glover, you know, he's cool. He's a good bass player too, and he brings some of his best stuff on this album as well. Really, really cool. An absolute masterpiece of hard rock, heavy metal, proto metal, whatever you want to fucking call it. Doesn't really matter. It's a fucking beast of an album. I absolutely love this thing, and yeah, I will get a good copy of it. Maybe I'll just get a reissue so I have something to play and I can sort of just look after this one and try not to let it get any more beat up. Anyway guys, that's it for today. Hit the subscribe button and I'll see you tomorrow.